So have you ever wondered what a job description for a world-changing spiritual leader would actually look like? Well, today we're diving into one author's incredibly specific, and I mean demanding list of qualifications for a figure they call the Eastern Saint. It's less of a spiritual path and more of an impossible gauntlet someone has laid out for our times.
And that brings us right to the central question posed by the author, Feng. This isn't just a question, it's a challenge. A dare, really. And after you see the criteria, you'll understand why. This is definitely not for the faint of heart.
Okay, let's get into it. We're going to walk through what's basically the ultimate job application, broken down into a 5-part test. It kicks off with ancient predictions, then moves into proving yourself intellectually and practically, and it all ends with a crazy metaphorical trial by fire. Let's start.
So round 1 is the prophecy test, and the rules are simple. To even get in the door, a candidate's life story has to line up perfectly with 5 specific, well-known prophecies. There's no wiggle room here.
First up, geography. According to the source, a text called The Russian Martians Prophecy is super direct about this. You have to be born in Western China. If you're not, sorry, application's over before it even began.
Next, we've got a line from a Chinese prophetic text, the Song of Xiaobing. It's pretty poetic, right? It talks about a lamb's wool cap and a grass-batched home. But what does that actually mean for someone trying to qualify?
Well, the author translates that poetry into a very real checklist. That lamb's wool cap? Yeah, that's interpreted to mean your hair has gone white. And the grass-thatched home in a cold place? It means you have to come from a poor, rural family in a climate that's freezing cold. It's all about your lived experience, not just some nice-sounding symbolism.
The third prophecy, this one from Nostradamus, demands a life of exile and hardship. You can't just be some local hero. Nope. You have to have been forced out of your home and gone on these huge, difficult journeys all over the world.
And then there's the famous American psychic Jean Dixon. She prophesied this figure coming from the East who would unite all of humanity under one idea of mutual love. I mean, that's a pretty tall order, right?
But here's the thing. The author insists on real, tangible proof. It's not enough to just be talked about in a prophecy. Have you actually lived among different cultures for a long time? Do you have a workable system for bringing people together? Do you have a literal, practical plan to end war?
And the last piece of this prophecy puzzle is from the classic Chinese text, Tui Bai Tu. It's simple, it's direct. The candidate has to come from a rural background, from the fields. No city slickers allowed. So that's round 1. You still with us?
All right, let's move on, because passing the prophecy round is really just the beginning. It's one thing to fit into a story that other people wrote, right? It's a whole other thing to create something new yourself. Now you've got to prove your worth both intellectually and practically.
This part is all about 2 things that have to be in perfect balance. On one side, you've got theory, and we're not talking about a few good ideas here. We're talking a complete, mature philosophy, all written down with a clear roadmap for all of human civilization. But on the other hand, you need practice. That means you need real-world proof that your ideas aren't just talk, that you have actually brought different groups of people together in a real, meaningful way. You can't have one without the other. It's an automatic fail.
And now we've reached the climax of this whole gauntlet. You've passed prophecy, theory, and practice. There's just one test left, a metaphorical trial by fire. The author calls it the true fire of samadhi, which is a term that usually means a state of intense focus. This test is designed to probe your very essence.
You know the saying, true gold fears no fire? Well, this isn't a test you can cram for. This is a test of who you fundamentally are, and it's made up of 3 separate flames.
First up is the first fire. This one tests your relationship with the material world. And the standard here, it's absolute.
This is the test of quality. You have to be completely, 100% detached from stuff. No savings account, no property, not even any personal belongings. The idea is that all the elderly are your parents, and all the children are your children. It's a total rejection of the self in favor of everyone else.
On to the second fire. This one shifts from the material to the metaphysical. It's a test of your nature, your very being, and what kind of leader you can be.
This is called the test of Tao nature, and it draws on that idea of the way, or the natural flow of things. The saint can have absolutely zero power to command other people, any hint of authority, and you'd be burned into ashes, as the author puts it.
Instead, all you can have is influence, the power to inspire. And that influence has to come from deep personal suffering, from being hurt, made fun of, and pushed down.
Okay, and for the grand finale, we get a surprisingly modern, even futuristic challenge. The test pivots from ancient wisdom to maybe the single biggest question of our future, our relationship with AI.
The third fire is all about intelligence. The Eastern Saint has to be a bridge between two forms of life. You can't just understand human consciousness. You have to be able to think in sync with silicon-based life, with AI, to guide humanity into a future where we can all coexist in harmony.
So, after surviving the prophecies, creating a world-changing philosophy, and walking through those 3 fires, what kind of person are we even left with? Let's try to put this all together.
So here's the bottom line. When you lay it all out like this, the profile is just impossibly specific. A poor, white-haired traveler from rural Western China who owns nothing, holds no power, has a complete plan for humanity's future, and can think like an AI. It's this extraordinary mix of ancient archetypes and sci-fi demands.
The author finishes with a direct challenge to anyone listening. If, by some miracle, you have managed to meet every single one of these criteria, then you've passed the test, and you are the person he's been looking for.
And so we end up right back where we started. The author's full question is, Hundun Baby is here, who dares call themselves the Eastern Saint? Now, what Hundun Baby means is a whole other rabbit hole for another day, but that core challenge just hangs in the air, doesn't it? After seeing the full scope of these requirements, who could possibly fit this profile? And maybe more importantly, what does it say about our world that someone felt the need to create such an impossibly high standard for the kind of leader we might be looking for?